if no one knows what you're doing, no one can help you tell that story. And you need cheerleaders, you need advocates, you need mentors, you need sponsors. You need all of these things because you can't be the only one that gets yourself in these rooms, because sometimes you're not physically there. A lot of times, not sometimes, you're not physically there when the decisions are being made. So the more you can tell your story, the more you can build relationships before you need them, the more you can share your dreams. When it's time to execute and you need those relationships and those resources, they will be there when you need them.
You're listening to the Black to Business Podcast, an educational podcast providing Black entrepreneurs with the tools and resources to start and grow their businesses. We chat with vetted Black entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and business owners as they provide tips and resources to help take your business to the next level. I'm your host, Monique T. Marshall. Hey, and welcome back to the Black to Business Podcast. So as you know, we're in the middle of celebrating Women's History Month, and it brings me so much joy to know that Black women are the largest demographic of women starting businesses. We continue to shatter glass ceilings and pave the way for future generations, and I'm so proud of us for continuing to make her story. Get it? Her story, not history. Anywho, today's guest is a shining example of someone who is a true superwoman making her story. Joining me today to discuss just that is Keisha Mabry, a social entrepreneur, connector, and owner of Heydays, which is a business incubator and coworking space for women and founders of color. Additionally, earlier this month, Keisha received the International Women's Day Trailblazer Award from the Missouri House of Representatives, citing her as the first African-American woman to own a business incubator in Missouri. So amazing. And she doesn't stop there. Keisha also serves as the Grow with Google digital coach for Missouri, where she provides valuable insights on how to close the digital divide gap and navigate the world of digital marketing. Keisha has delivered over 150 keynote speeches and is the author of Hey Friend, 100 Ways to Connect with 100 People in 100 Days. Wow. So I actually met Keisha in, I want to say 2015. And I've been following her journey ever since. And I've watched her continue to grow as a force to be reckoned with in the entrepreneurship space. And she's also a wife and a mother of a beautiful daughter. And I've watched her and I'm like, how is she doing it? Because it's just me. And some days I struggle. But I also know that there are women out there who are trying to balance it all. And I thought Keisha would be the perfect person to talk about this with, because she is balancing a successful business and family life as well as personal time. So today we're actually going to talk about how to win as a woman in business, which includes how to find your tribe, how to nurture relationships, how to actually balance your busy schedule and have a healthy sleep routine and a healthy relationship with your family. And in addition to that, Keisha's going to give some information on some grants that are available for women-led businesses and how, despite all of this in her busy schedule, she also finds time to be in the moment. So this is such a treat and a great conversation. So let's dive in. Keisha, welcome to the Black to Business Podcast. Excited to have you here. So welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, friend.
Yes, of course. So before we dive into today's conversation, I want to get a little bit of background about who you are to my audience. So if you could just share a little bit about who you are, what is it that you do in your business, and kind of how you got here today. I know we're going to dive further into that in the conversation, but just a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I think the simple part of it is I'm just a friend that wants to see everyone win. And so I've lived my whole life just being that friend, from high school and on. I'm originally from Louisville, Kentucky. I moved to St. Louis about 10 years ago with Teach for America. And so from Teach for America, I've done everything from starting my own business to being in HR operations. So kind of like a Jane of all trades, a true generalist. But again, just a friend that wants to see people win.
Love it. Now, the interesting thing about your journey is that in 2009, it was a really defining year for you. Like you had a quarter life crisis and you turned your life around. Share how you got to that point and what your life was like pre-2009.
Yeah. So, oh my God, friends, that was in my later 20s. Oh no, that was my early 20s. And I just graduated and didn't know what I wanted to do. So like a lot of people, I went to school because I was told I had to go to school. I changed my major like 4 times until I was like, just get me out of here. And so I graduated just still lost and confused. And so I tried a million things. And it wasn't until someone told me about this concept of being a multi-potentialite that things started to click. So I forced myself to meet 100 people in 100 days just to learn about their journeys, how they figured out what they wanted to be when they grew up. And it kind of just shifted things for me.
Okay. And you did a TED talk on that, meeting 100 people in 100 days, right?
Yeah, I did. It was a really fun experience.
Now, what are some of the things and some of the insights that you got from doing that?
I think the biggest thing is we all have a story, right? Everyone has one. And whether you choose to tell your story or not, I believe we should start doing it more. So many of us are scared to because we're wondering, like, who wants to listen to us? Who can learn from what we have to say? But there's someone out there that can. And so I think that experience really taught me the power of storytelling, and how just sharing your story, as simple as you may feel like it is, can really impact someone else's life and someone on their journey.
I love that. And another thing you talk about a lot is this why be do concept. Can you explain what that means?
Yeah, so I actually learned that from someone else. His name is Lance Secretan. So I went to a conference that he had. I was sponsored to go through the Chamber of Commerce for our city. And he just always talked about how we're on this earth to do 3 things. And it really boils down to our why be do. Why, the why behind what we do, how we want to be in this world and how we want to show up. And then what do we want to do with our life while we're showing up in the world. And so it just gave me a new perspective on purpose. I think oftentimes we think of purpose and passion as this one thing. And through this why we do concept, it really allows you to evolve. And so for me, up until that point, no one had ever told me that purpose or passion could evolve. I always thought I had to find this one thing.
Right.
It was stressful, it's so stressful. And through that concept, I learned that my why be do is probably always going to be in the same arena, but it can evolve as I evolve.
I love that. Okay, so perfect. So now we've spoken about the fact that you did this challenge or where you met 100 people in 100 days. Now, in the world of business, people, of course, have difficulties making friends, whether it be, they're trying to get into the entrepreneur space and just trying to meet like-minded people. I want to dive into like how to make actual friends. So one of the things you talk about is friend working. Like, what is that?
Yeah, I think we overcomplicate networking when really it's just finding commonalities, right? I think the best advice I can give people when it comes to this is just live your life. Just live your life. Like if you enjoy cooking, then take some cooking classes and you're going to find your tribe through that, right? If you enjoy exercising, then exercise and you'll find your tribe through that. I think when we think about networking and meeting people, we always picture this really scary event where we have to go force ourselves to talk to people that we have nothing in common with. And that's not always the case. Yes, there are going to be some of those situations, but even in those situations, just find the commonality. And so I always say, if you can't think of anything when it comes to networking, think of always say hello, be nice and smile, compliment, and find the commonality when in doubt.
Love that. And now, what does it mean to you? What does it being a friend mean to you?
It's so funny you asked that because I believe my definition is expanding. I think when I was younger, like in high school and college, being a friend meant I had to be around you all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like we had to see each other or talk to each other daily, and we could do that, right? Because of proximity. When you're going to school, you go to that place every day, whether it's high school or college. But now that I'm an adult with a whole husband and a whole daughter, for me, being a friend just means we don't talk for 6 months, but when we do, it's like we never stop talking, right? Like being able to pick up where we left off, knowing that even if time passes, like we still have each other's back. To me, that is friendship. And that wasn't always the case. I always felt like a friend is somebody I had to talk to every day versus being able to not talk to that person and still knowing they have my back. I think that's more important in these days.
Absolutely. And so when you meet new people, for people who are listening, you know, giving them notes and tips, how do you make them a friend? Like, how do you nurture that relationship?
Yeah, it really starts with energy for me. I'm really big on energy, and I'm also okay not making the friend. Because sometimes it's just a matter of connecting in the moment. Like everyone that we meet is not a person we're supposed to like build this lifelong relationship with. Some connections are just meant to be connections in that moment, right? So just giving yourself permission for that to happen. The other thing for me is a matter of making the time. Like we make time for everything that we want to do. And I think sometimes we don't do that when it comes to our friendship. So on Fridays, I block off time on my calendar to check in with my friends. So this is me either texting them, calling them, DMing them, you know, whatever it is, scheduling time to connect with them. And even if it has to go on my calendar, it's still me being intentional about it. And our lives are so busy. I think at times we feel like our friendships are automatically going to cultivate and curate themselves. And that's just not the case. And so for me, if it's important enough for me to sustain, then I want to make time for that. And so I call my time blocks my Friendship Fridays. And that's how I continue to cultivate and curate my relationships.
Oh, I love that. And so, Keisha, one of the things you've also done recently is you opened a collaborative and creative workspace called Heydays Headquarters. Let's talk about what inspired you to create the space and how was the process and the intention behind it.
Yeah, so Heydays is a place to kick it with friends. So really selfishly, I just wanted a space to hang out with my friends and to do dope things with dope people. I was a part of a ton of co-working spaces in my city, but nothing felt like it was curated just for me. By that, I mean the art on the walls, the music that was playing, even the furniture, like everything felt very cold. And it also just felt like Silicon Valley, you know, entrepreneurship. And for me, I was really looking for something that was warm, something that felt very collaborative versus siloed. And I couldn't find that space, so I created it. And so the goal of Heydays is to be a space where people can connect, curate, and create anything. So whether that's you wanting to create like a dope gallery, whether you want to create a yoga something, whatever you want to do, our goal is to help you make those dreams come true.
Yes. Now, Keisha, I've been following you for years, and one of the things I know about you is like you are a go-getter. Like it seems that when you have your mind set on something, I'm turning around, I'm like, she's just doing it. I don't know how she's doing it, but she is doing it. And so I want to talk about the process of, you know, going into this co-working space because you make it look easy. So how was this for you? You made a decision one day and just went for it. Like, how was it starting?
Yeah, Fred, I don't know if that's good or bad because you're right. Like if I'm like, ooh, I want to do this, like it's executed within a few weeks, you know? And I think for me, I think a few things are true. I think number one, I have dispelled the belief that I'm supposed to do things without being scared. I think a lot of us take time to execute because we're waiting for the fear to go away because we believe if the fear goes away, then the timing is perfect, right? So I've dispelled that belief. I believe I should do everything scared. And I believe I probably will do everything scared. So number one, I've given myself permission to do that. And then number two, I really utilize my resources. Even with the space, something as crazy as outfitting it with furniture. Like I've never decorated a co-working space before. So I Googled, like no lie, friend, I Googled free design services because I'm like, I don't have the money to pay for it.
Right.
And friends, when I tell you there are so many free design services, nearly every furniture company does free design services.
Wow.
So I submitted a proposal to Anthropology, West M, and CB2. All of them hopped on a call with me. They did a virtual tour of the space, and they all designed a layout for the co-working space, and it was beautiful. All three designs were beautiful. So that's something I did not have to do. And I think another thing that stops us from executing is we try to do it all. And I'm always trying to find who does this and who does it for free or close to free. And that's how I'm able to get things done, because we can't do everything alone, nor should we.
I love that. And because one of the things you talk about on Instagram, also you shared one of your tips on anyone could find finances in their business. Can you talk about that? Because how was it for you going through that process of from idea to execution to creating this whole space?
Yeah, another thing that I think I do that people often don't do is I share my dreams. I know a lot of people believe if you share your dreams and someone else can take them, or, someone will use it against you. And I just believe if you take it, but you're still not going to execute the dream like I thought or I would, And so when I wanted and decided that I was going to open this co-working space, I put it out there. And when you put your dreams out there, then resources can come to you, right? Like people know what you're up to. And so I put it out there, and just through relationships that I had, people just started connecting me to funding resources. And there's so much money right now for entrepreneurs, especially women, especially founders of color. There's all of these grants. There's ARPA money. There's Build Back Better money. MBDA just had a grant, SBA. I mean, you name it. There's all of this influx of resources. If no one knows what you're doing, no one can help you tell that story. And you need cheerleaders. You need advocates. You need mentors. You need sponsors. You need all of these things, because you can't be the only one that gets yourself in these rooms, because sometimes you're not physically there. A lot of times, not sometimes, you're not physically there when the decisions are being made. So the more you can tell your story, the more you can build relationships before you need them, the more you can share your dreams. When it's time to execute and you need those relationships and those resources, they will be there when you need them.
That's great advice. And one of the things I didn't ask you earlier, but I do want to ask, because I've been, like I said, following you for years, and just like I don't want to say hustle, but you have a hustle about you. And I want to ask you about, where did that come from? Just like early Keisha, young Keisha, was it someone in your family that pushed you, or was it your life? Where do you think that came from?
Yeah, it's so funny. I really believe I was born this way. My mom says when I was in elementary school, she used to have to beg me to go to bed because I would pull all-nighters to study my spelling bee list. And she would be like, Keisha, I love it. I love that you're committed and determined, but go to sleep, girl. So I saw my mom hustle, but I don't believe it was from my mom. I'm sure a lot of it was, but I really believe it was just a matter of just feeling safe, if I can be honest. My mom always allowed me to feel safe. She always allowed me to fall softly, right? So failure wasn't failure, it was learning. And so I think when we have that safety net, it gives us the fuel to go harder, right? Because if you fall, you're going to be caught in a warm safety net. And not that I grew up with a ton of resources, but just the feeling of safety allowed me to know that I could push myself. And even if I pushed myself too hard and fell, someone would be there to catch me. And so through that learning, I'm trying to implement that as a parent. I want my daughter to go hard, but I also want her to rest when it's time to rest. And I think a lot of people don't think I sleep, but I do. I sleep, friends. I get a good 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. But the thing that I do well is the 7 hours that I have during the day when my daughter's at daycare. I use those 7 hours crazy effectively and I don't get distracted. And so if you can use the time that you have and get really effective with that, yes, you can hustle, but you can also get the rest that is required.
I love that. Yes, I'm the same way. I have to get my sleep.
Yeah, we have to. And I'm getting too old.
Right. Yes.
My body be like, no, we going to bed.
Shutting down.
We're laying down. We're shutting down.
Yes. And so also, in addition to, open the space, you're also a Grow with Google coach, digital coach. I want to talk about that. And you trained over 1,870 business owners as a Missouri Grow with Google digital coach. How did this all come about?
Yeah, so also through networking and relationship building. So I met the head coach years ago. This was in, I think, Charlotte. We met at a conference and we just exchanged energy. It was dope. Didn't talk to her for years. And so the next thing I know, maybe about 2.5 years ago, I got this DM about Grow with Google. And friends, I really did think I thought it was a scam. And so I didn't answer it. And I'm like, what is this? And so I sat on the DM for weeks. And then it dawned on me that I had heard of Grow with Google before years ago when I met this coach. So I responded and the rest is history. And so many people are like, well, how did you apply? Like, how did you? And really, they came to me. And so my moral of that story is just do the work. Do the work. And if you do dope stuff, people will notice. And not even just dope stuff, like stuff that is impactful, that fills in gaps, like people will notice and you will become a magnet. Like a lot of the opportunities that have not come from me submitting for them or applying for them. They've come because I've positioned myself through being the friend who wants to see people win. And I think people genuinely know that about me, and they know that I'm genuine and authentic when it comes to that.
Yes, certainly. And so can you talk about some of the things that you are doing with the Grow with Google, the digital coach program?
Yeah, Grow with Google is amazing. Like, it's a free digital marketing program. And so as digital coaches, we are local certified digital marketers. And so it's our responsibility to impact our community through digital workshops. And the digital workshops are actually free. We support entrepreneurs with everything through these workshops, from search engine optimization to how to appear on Google, to understanding Google Business Profile, understanding how Google Bot works, understanding Search Console, and so many other products and tools for Google that are often free. I can't say that enough. And as business owners and even creatives, when we're trying to get our businesses up and running and when we're trying to get our projects created, we don't always have an abundance of resources to do so. And so this really is oftentimes an untapped resource. And so it's such an honor, to be able to serve entrepreneurs in this way.
Love it. Now, you are doing amazing things. This whole conversation is about making HERstory, not history. We're in Women's History Month.
I love it.
Yes. So earlier this month, you also received the International Women's Day Trailblazer Award from the Missouri House of Representatives. And it cited you as the first African-American female to own a business incubator in Missouri. Like, that was history. How did you feel?
I don't think I've processed it. I feel like I'm still just like, do the work. But to me, it just feels crazy. But also it also feels like, of course, of course I am. Right. And so I feel like it's a huge responsibility that I have now. I think part of me is like, oh my gosh, I do not want to let people down. The other part of me is just excited about the space and opportunity that I can help create for others, the platforms that I can help create for others. A lot of people don't know what a business incubator is. So an incubator provides wraparound services for entrepreneurs. So it's more than just co-working space. So like here at our incubator, we have accounting, HR operations, sales and marketing. We have virtual assistants. We have graphic designers. We really do try to be a one-stop shop. And then on top of that, we help entrepreneurs bring their products and services through life by helping them curate events and activations in the space too. So that's kind of the difference between like a business incubator and just a normal co-working space. Is the incubator actually supports the business holistically with those wraparound services.
I love it. Well, can you share what it means to be a woman in changing the rules?
That's so funny because one of our state representatives just had an event at Heydays centered on that same concept. And I don't even know what that means for myself. I don't know. Like, seriously, if there's a gap, I just want to fill it. And I want to collaborate with people to fill it. So I don't feel like I changed the rules. I feel like I am trying to fill gaps and collaborate with people so that the rules just don't exist. Because like, why so many rules?
Agreed.
Eliminate the rules.
And Keisha, can you share any life hacks that have helped you to get to this point in your life?
I think the biggest life hack, you're here in my countryside, friends, is everything you do does not have to be done by you. And I know there's a lot tied up into why we feel like we have to do all the things, right? It's trust, and it's usually trust because someone let you down when you did let them in. It's dependability for that very reason. You feel like it's too difficult to train somebody to delegate, so you do it yourself, or you feel like you don't have the funds to do it. But there's so many creative ways to get resources and a team around you. And so that is the biggest life hack thus far, is everything you do does not have to be done by you. Even as simple as meal prepping. Like, I decided a long time ago, even though I can cook really well, I just don't want to cook, and that's okay.
Yeah,
like, everything I do does not have to be done by me. So we get really creative with meal prepping. Same with cleaning. Like, if we need to bring in a cleaner to clean our house, we clean, and we adjust the budget to make that happen. And so I think the more and more permission I give myself to, and it's not even a control thing, it's more so of you don't have to do it alone.
Yes. Now, I want to talk about it. We touched on this a little bit before, but I really want to dive into the life of being a super mom, because you're running a business and then you're also a wife, a mother, and an entrepreneur. And I know we have mothers listening. And I just was on a phone call with my friend the other day, and she's like, I feel like I don't have no time. And I'm like, I see women who have children, husbands, families killing it every day. What would you say to that? Because I am not a wife or a mother. So from your perspective, like, what would you say to a woman who feels like, I don't have enough time? How do I balance, my business and my family? Like, what would you say?
So I don't know if there is balance. Like, for me, I just believe wherever my feet have me, that's where I need to be. Right. And so I really practice being in the moment. So if my feet are at work, then I'm at work. If my feet are at home, I'm at home, right? And so, like, I try not to bring work home because it's important for me to be in those moments with my husband, with my daughter. And so that's going back to the earlier conversation of being effective. That's why I'm very effective during the 7 to 8 hours that I have during the day, is so that I can be in those moments when I get home. I've also learned that everything doesn't have to be done today. Like, I'm always going to have a to-do list. It's just the nature of entrepreneurship. So everything doesn't have to be done today. And again, everything doesn't have to be done by you, So those are some of the things I've implemented. The other thing I've implemented is, when there are opportunities for my lives to collide, allow them to collide, right? I told myself when I had my daughter, I am not going to work like I don't have a life. So my daughter comes to the office with me often, and she loves it. She's like, oh, we're at mommy's office. And people know, like, if you have an event in this space, like, if you are in this space co-working, you may see my daughter. And if you need to bring your little one here, do it, because we can't work like we don't have lives. And so I think it's important not only for our kids to see us working, but for us to give ourselves permission to allow those things to overlap. The other thing my husband and I do, we split the weekend. So my husband gets all day Saturday to do his own thing. I'm with the baby. And then on Sundays, I get the entire Sunday to do my own thing. So I leave the house around 9 or 10, and I don't come back home until 9 or 10. So that it gives me a full day to just, maybe I'll get my nails done. Maybe I just sit and think. Maybe I'll read, right? But we implement systems in our lives so that we can spend time with each other when we're together, but we can also have our individual alone time because that's necessary.
I love that. That's great. That's a great tip. So
it's awesome. We've been doing it since our daughter was born almost, right? Like as soon as I was able to leave, I did breastfeed, but as soon as I was able to leave, it was on. I'm like, yep, all right, I'm out of here, friends. I'll see y'all tonight. Fend for yourselves.
Yes, love it. Well, Keisha, this has been so amazing. I want to ask you, what's next for you? Like, what are some? Maybe it's not anything. Maybe it's what's happening, what's new, or what's coming down the pipeline.
You know what? I have no clue. And I think that answer used to scare me, but now I see it as a blank slate. And I'm really excited about that. I didn't think I would have a co-working space 10 years ago, right? So I'm just opening myself up to the possibilities, and really excited to just be impactful through the co-working space, to create space for others to take up space, and we'll see from here.
Love it. And what advice would you give to someone in their first year of business?
I would say build the foundation. I think a lot of businesses start without foundation, and by foundation, I mean get an accountant or learn how to bookkeep, right? Start documenting what you do in your business that gets you results, because those can become your standard operating procedures. Take advantage of a lot of these free resources so you can set up that foundation as well. Like most universities have a legal clinic that will get your contracts and things in place. A lot of accounting firms have low bono services. And then even for SOPs, there's a lot of grants in our cities right now that can give you $5,000 grant to get tech support for your business, where you can actually hire somebody to build out those SOPs. So again, my number one advice for any new entrepreneur is to build the foundation.
Love it. And speaking of foundations, can you share any favorite tools or resources that have really helped you in your journey?
Yeah, I think for me, it's taking advantage of the resources I just shared. Like locally in our market, Hush Blackwell has a free and low bono legal service. So I went through there to get all the contracts for the co-working space. Locally in my market, SLDC, which SLDC is everywhere. So for those listening, definitely look up your local SLDC. Most SLDCs have grants for businesses. Those grants start at like $5,000 to help you with foundation building. And then the same with accounting. Like look up the largest accounting firm in your city to see if they have low bono and pro bono services.
Love it. Perfect. All right. So now into our not so serious business questions. Just a little fun, shaking it up. If you could think of your favorite or funniest childhood memory, what would it be?
Oh man. So my brother loved the Ninja Turtles, and he really wanted to try anchovy pizza. And my mom kept saying, "You're not going to like it. You're not going to like it." But she was the mom that was like, "All right, if this is what you want." So we ordered the anchovy pizza, friend. It was the worst thing I've ever had in my life, but we laughed so hard about it. So definitely a fun memory. And then to add icing to the cake, our dog at the time, the door was propped open a little bit because we were getting some air, came in and just like took the whole pizza. So it was just like a funny night.
The dog was like, "Y'all don't want it, I'll take it."
Right.
It's funny. Okay. If you were on an island and could only bring 3 things, what would you bring?
My husband, my daughter, and my mom, because we will figure out anything.
Right. Love it. And what is the randomest social media account that you follow?
It's so funny because I do not like social media. And so I do not like social media at all. Like, I literally got on because someone told me I had to if I was going to be a public speaker. So I do not spend a ton of time on it. And now I have an account manager, so I'm really not on it.
Okay. So that question. All right. And okay, so I asked another, what do you think would be the rudest animal if it could talk?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think the koala would be so rude. I've never seen a koala smile. Never.
That is true. I can see that too. I agree. Well, this has been so fun and so insightful. I am so excited for all that you're continuing to do, have done, and people are going to want to know how can they connect with you and find you. So please do share.
Yes, friends. Even though I don't be on social media much, I dabble maybe once or twice a week. So at Keisha Mabry on anything, at Heydays.hq for the co-working space. But yes, I would love to connect. I love making friends. And again, if I can help you win in any way, please let me know.
Wonderful. Thank you, Keisha, again for being on the show. Love it.
Thank you. And thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. It's so great just to dialogue with you. And if I can be a resource for you, please let me know.
Isn't she just beautiful and wonderful? I just love Keisha's spirit. Such a great conversation. And some of the takeaways from this conversation for me was that you have to be resourceful, you have to be consistent, and you have to know that there is no such thing as balance. Instead, you have to learn to be present for where you are in the moment. So if that means you're